episode 42 of the Long Haul Podcast. We are here once again to discuss, the day-to-day business of being an Artifact 2 player. My name's
Day-to-day
Nine.
business, yeah.
My name's Nine. I'm joined by my buddy Kerry. How are you doing, my dude?
Doing fine. How you doing, man? Are you having a good week? Have you killed the desires for Portuguese food?
Well, no, the desire for Portuguese food remains, unfortunately. But I had a pretty nice weekend. I had a really busy week last week. And yesterday I was off. Today I got off early and went to get some sun in the river. So not too bad, not too bad. I haven't shaved, obviously, but, that's another...
First world problems.
That's
shave.
Luckily, I work with animals, so shaving is not required. It's optional. For men, at least.
I think Scruffy and Mr. Boggles won't bother if you have a big beard.
All right. No, so otherwise I'm doing fine, man. And you're doing good, dude?
Yeah, it's like super hot. People are melting here. I don't know how it's going on there in Switzerland, but here it's like super hot.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything's okay. Not a super psycho week yet for work, but other than that, it's been a good day.
Yeah, I've been in Switzerland for 7 years now. Going on 8 years, and I can tell that the summers are progressively getting longer and hotter, because I remember my first couple of years here, the summer was literally 2 weeks and then it was done. And the last 3 years, man, it's been pretty good. Like, I mean, I don't know, it must be like 35 degrees out right now. Like, if you can see my window, it's pretty bright in the back, and it was
happy in sunshine.
Yeah, so I mean 30 degrees for I don't live in the mountains like I used to anymore, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It feels good.
his times as a hermit have ended.
Exactly. But otherwise, let's go to the topic of the podcast.
Yep.
Valve posted once more this week, obviously as expected, regarding the Black Hero survey results, and once again asking the community to rally and fill in a survey for the Blue Heroes. So go and do that if you haven't. But this week they give us the results for the worst Black Heroes and the best Black Heroes.
Yeah, they brought that back.
They brought that back. They forgot about that last week, I guess. Wonder if we might still get that, but doubt it. But all right, let's have a look, man. So they say that Nyx and Death Prophet had very good scores overall, and they think that they feel too powerful, so they are looking to. They are looking to make some balance changes there. What do you think?
You don't say they're too powerful? Oh, what a twist!
I mean, it's obvious, I think, to everyone that they're very powerful. I'm really disappointed that they are saying that they're gonna mess with them. Like, I was really hoping they wouldn't nerf them.
Well, they might not like totally nerf them. Like, at least for Death Prophet, I've actually given like one or two opinions, and one I talked directly with the devs, the other one I used the in-game tool for suggestions and bug reporting. I mean, Nyx, you can play a little bit around Nyx. I just feel his signature is too cheap for what it does. I think it's too good for the little it costs. The Death Prophet is a different story. You don't need to nerf them much, or you just need to tweak him a bit. For example, I think the 7 mana on the Exorcism for a card that is that powerful, 7 mana is a good number. But being an infinite effect is the biggest problem. And I've played Death Prophet and played Exorcism on it, and other players were still able to like play around it or even just remove the card eventually, because it can be dispelled. So it's really strong, but it doesn't need to be like nerfed to the ground, because and like Eric once said, he likes the concept of having like super late game cards that have a very big impact in the game. And that's how it should be, right? The bigger the mana cost, the more impact it should have. So For me, Death Prophet just needs a little tweak. Maybe not make the effect infinite. Nyx is like a different matter because Nyx is the potential for sneakiness and combo that he has. I'm looking at you, Nine, and your goddamn Mjolnir. The potential for sneakiness that it has is really complex to play around. It's still possible to play around, but then again, you look at his signature and what it does for how much it costs is where the biggest problem might come for them to balance. Yeah. Because if it's too expensive, other players can play around it. But if it's too cheap, like it is now, it's like super hard to play around. Yeah. And the effects that it gives is just as strong.
I think for the most part, and like you guys know, for the most part, I feel like it would be nicer to see them make other heroes stronger rather than pull the stronger heroes down. The Death Prophet, like if we are going to nerf these heroes or these cards, probably like something that it seems to be slightly problematic with the Death Prophet, like you say, is that it's repeatable. But it's not just that it's repeatable, it's that the card itself gives the hero like 3 regeneration or something. So I think one problem is that often you're like, okay, if you can play an exorcism, I can take it. I just need to take the hero down so that it's not there for the next upkeep or something. And often that's really difficult because the hero gets 3 regeneration and then it's just super difficult to kill. So maybe nerfing the regeneration side might help a little bit. In making it easier to get the hero off the table if you don't have access to a purge effect. That might be
it gets like +5 if at the beginning of the turn it has something in front of it, right?
So Death Prophet gets 2 regeneration if it kills something at the beginning, but it depends.
No, it doesn't need to kill if it's just
if it drains. Yeah. So, but my point is that you can play Exorcism on other black heroes. So, if you play it on Death Prophet, she's gonna have a lot of regen. That's true. But if you play it like on a Necrophos or whatever other hero, it's still quite difficult to kill it. So, that might be something that could be adjusted without touching the overall effect of the card. And regarding Nyx, I think also there's some room to maybe, like what's something that is really, really annoying regarding Spiked Carapace is, for example, that if you Spiked Carapace your own hero and then he goes to combat with another hero and obviously your hero doesn't die, but if the opponent's hero doesn't die, he gets stunned for the next round. And that's like uber annoying because like for 1 mana, you're kind of destroying 2 rounds for that hero.
Yeah, 1 mana, and you control the lane for 1 mana.
The fact of the matter is that like probably 85 or 90% of the time the opponent's hero is dying, but when it happens that it doesn't die, it's super annoying to have it stunned next round. So that would be something they could change. The other thing they could change potentially is the purge, but I don't know. I see that coming into play a bit less often. Of course, it's relevant, and every little thing makes the card stronger. I just hope they don't make it 2 mana because I'm not sure. Like, again, this is this space where it's super difficult to balance cards. The 1 mana space is so difficult because if you double the price, it's a huge change. So I think for the most part, it's easier to change the effects that the card has slightly. But people might still always complain about Nyx if they don't make it cost 2. So I personally don't know. I really like where it is, and I hope I would wish that more heroes would feel that good to play with, to be fair. But that's just my general approach.
Yeah, because you just get to a point where Vendetta, when the card released, people were like angry against Vendetta because you play it, you kill a hero, you get no. There's no drawback because he doesn't trade damage. He just deals direct damage. So, but once people started like playing like ahead and planning the next turn, Nyx is coming in, so I need to have this topped up and stuff like that. Then that's where Vendetta starts. Not Vendetta. That's where Spike Carapace starts beginning to be annoying to play against because for 1 mana you just. Okay, your character is now a god for this turn. So you just give the damage back. Even if someone just tries to kill Nyx and he's Spiked Carapace, the card that you, for example, if you play Quick Shot, for example, or the arrow from Morana, for example, anything that you try to use it, the hero that you choose as a caster is going to get the damage back. So that's for me. That's where Nyx is too strong, not the active ability itself.
What do you think about the missed the heroes that they think missed the mark? So Bloodseeker, Sniper, Devi. I don't know. People think that Devi missed the mark, man, and Storm Spirit as well. I'm surprised to see both of those in there.
I mean, Bloodseeker is a hard card to balance. Even in the version 1.0, he was not very loved as a card, as a hero. Sniper, I actually feel the same. I feel that the way the mana works now and how snipe costs, and I just feel that the card is missing something. It was good. He was a good hero in 1.0, but not this. I mean, the skills are the same. They didn't change it, but the way mana works now, it just makes like the card isn't like as useful to play as it used to be. Debbie, for me, it's kind of weird. I mean, why do people consider an overall miss? She doesn't even have a hero in Dota, for example, for them to compare against what it was. So I actually think that Debbie, for me, is, and I've said this like 10 times now, is the best reworked basic hero for me. What she brings to the table is completely fresh and fun to play. So I cannot understand why people would say that Debbie is an overall miss. Yeah. It's just weird. Storm Spirit just works like Storm Spirit is supposed to work, and he even got better stats than he used to have, in my opinion. So I don't see why he's an overall miss. I don't know why people expected it for him to. I mean, he goes to whatever lane he wants and leaves a remnant behind that does damage, AoE damage.
The one thing I think that, like, I really agree with you. I think Storm Spirit is really good. The one thing that he's missing is the ability that he gets in Dota and that he used to have in 1.0, which is that when he does something, he gets a buff to his attack. But I think that would make him very, very strong, because right now, if you just have a phase boots or force staff or so, he leaves a remnant behind. The remnant doesn't deal damage on the attack or whatever, deals damage on death. But I mean, I don't know if people were expecting him to also get the attack damage buff, but I think that would make him very, very strong. I've been picking him in Hero Draft and liking him a lot.
Yeah, he's really solid.
So I'm also quite surprised. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if they say that they're going to give small tweaks and buffs. Bloodseeker, I think, needs a rework of some sort again. What I thought something that they could do, because in Dota is such a dynamic hero, it's hard to replicate his skills here. Either they give him like a silence AoE spell or ability, or maybe they do something completely, something that might sound stupid, like make him jump to wherever the weakest enemy hero is with HP, you know what I mean? Then he's actually seeking blood, if you know what I mean. The problem is that would make him a gold generating machine, so I don't know.
I mean, I think that Bloodseeker is one of those heroes where you cannot adapt him in Artifact like he works in Dota. Because if you look at his skills in Dota, it's really hard to apply them here. I mean, if you silence and do more and double damage, or you do AoE silence and damage if you move. So I don't know. I think they need to rework him and try to not be focused on how he works in Dota completely. Maybe give him like a passive where he gets the HP, the lower HP ones, he gets that in attack. I like that change a lot. It actually felt more like Bloodseeker on the Dota version on 2.0 than 1.0. I just feel that other than that, it's really hard to put something in that will make the card either powerful or attractive, fun to play. I've seen combos of people playing like Bloodseeker with what's the name of the guy that they changed? God damn it! The one that has that deals, his ability removes the HP that the target is missing. I forgot.
Necrophos.
Necrophos, yeah. So I've seen combos of people playing Necrophos with Bloodseeker, and it's a fun little combo. But other than that, it starts to get hard to control, because, like they say in the text, you want to have something low, not dying, as long as you can. But that's counterproductive you want to kill the hero. You don't want to leave him like on 1 HP hitting your tower or whatever.
It's a weird mechanic. Would be more satisfying to give him like some active ability with like a 3-round cooldown or something where he just jumps in front of the weakest HP hero, enemy hero, or whatever. Something that makes you feel like you're chasing the lowest HP hero or something. I don't know.
It can be like you could block the lowest HP hero and give it silence, for example, something like that.
Would be interesting. So,
or pin it so you can run away, for example. I don't know.
Yeah. Just wanted to mention the overall hits. Shadow Fiend, Lich, Nyx Assassin, and Death Prophet. So even though people thought they were good, they were considered to be hits. So yeah, I would really avoid nerfing those guys too much, because people, I think, for the most part, seem to be happy there. Yeah, so I think that's that for the Black discussion. We already had an episode on Black. Is there something else you want to say, or?
No. It's fine. I was just gonna say that I wouldn't nerf Shadow Fiend, but the way his active ability works, he should like respect the same way other hero cards work. Like deal the damage, like 2 slots to the left and 2 slots to the right. Because one thing that annoys the shit out of me is people that put Shadow Fiend like right most of the lane, okay, and just press the button and wipe the whole lane, right? So it's like if he has like 15 charges or something, you put him in a safe spot, press the button, and you clear the lane. At least have to put him in front of something, right? So it doesn't get.
I see. Yeah.
There's like a lot of heroes that the mechanic works like that. Deal damage or do this, two spots to the left, 2 spots to the right. And Shadow Fiend just kills the whole lane. I know if you do that, it might. They just need not to make it cross lane. So if it's on the right side of the lane, it doesn't go two slots to the right, for example. But I just feel that if he gets to clear the whole lane by being in a safe spot, it's just like super annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying. I mean, I'm not sure. He's kind of a hero that requires you to snowball a little bit. He requires that you invest in him.
He's like the typical carry. He needs babysitting.
Yeah,
and he snowballs.
Yeah.
So he's a perfect example of how a carry works in Dota and now in Artifact, because you need to babysit him, make him like grow in power, and then he starts to snowball and be into like a super killing machine.
Yeah, definitely. I think they nailed that. Yeah. All right, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with all this information regarding these surveys, right? The information has just been piling on, and besides a couple of blue heroes that they changed before the survey, there hasn't been like a lot of changes. So it will be interesting to think that maybe when this whole thing is over, there will be a big patch with big changes. But we will see. We will see. There's so much that needs to be done and worked on right now, so that it becomes kind of hard to predict what they're going to do. In any case, we know that they want us to discuss the 10 and 15 cost items this week, and presumably the next week's the higher gold tiers, despite a lot of discussion in the community regarding the shop right now, because a lot of people keep saying that the shop feels off. There's a bunch of discussion going on everywhere. So it's been interesting to follow that, and it's been interesting also to think about what the devs might be thinking to address that, or if they are going to stick their guns and say, no, this is how the shop's gonna be, deal with it. But I have faith that like they've been changing stuff slowly and consistently to kind of please the community, I have the feeling. So they have given signs that they're listening, and I think in that regard, I think we might be potentially seeing some changes to the shop in the future, but we will see, because no one that I've spoken with yet knows really how to change shop, like yeah, I feel that too. I feel like something's slightly off, and then I don't know how to fix it or how to improve it. So
if you look at the shop on 1.0, people didn't like it or felt it was clunky. They reworked shop, put it 2.0. It still feels weird and clunky. I think it's the hardest thing to balance or to rework. It's like the shop, and even if they come up with like the perfect solution, I feel that a lot of people in the community will still not like it, because it's such a I don't know. I have, like, for example, I have zero ideas how to make the shop better. And because they've changed so much, and they tried like the buybacks and stuff like that we removed. We had the whole mechanic that got removed. You got.
You mean the rerolls, or what did you mean?
Yeah, I mean reroll, not buyback. Sorry, and I mean the whole item that we had on 1.0 that also got removed. So they've tried a lot of things, and most of them either don't work or don't appeal to the community. So the shop is like very hard to make everyone happy about.
Definitely, I think it's going to be a problem. It is a problem. I feel like it is a problem, and I think it's going to be a problem. But I mean, we gotta have faith. There's good suggestions out there. There's a lot of possibilities and things that haven't been tested. We could do an episode on that, but let's try to focus on the items for now. So let's move on and try to pick a couple of items here to bring some discussion to the table regarding that.
Talk about your favorite one.
My favorite one. So let me see.
The one you love to death.
the one of the we were discussing in the pre-show. We were saying like I generally, okay, that's just my personality. Okay, I like to focus on the things that are the negatives, because I think you need to give attention to the things that I think need changing. There's two cards in the shop, Greevil Egg and Raftel Mercenary Contract, that for me are great offenders. The Greevil Egg in particular, this is a card that decides the matches. And don't get me wrong, I've won my fair share of games until now based on getting this baby from the shop. If you're not in the beta and you're wondering what the hell he's talking about, here's how Greevil Egg works. You buy this thing from the shop. Your opponent has no idea what you have, because there's no way to figure out what your opponent bought. And this is also sometimes an item that comes in the secret shop, so it might not even be listed on the opponent's deck list. And this card is basically a colorless card, so you don't need a hero to cast it. So it might be that you're in the last turn of the game and you've killed your opponent's only hero. You know that he doesn't have a blink scroll. You know that he doesn't have a blink anything. You know that he doesn't have mana. And then your opponent pops a Greevil Egg into a lane without any heroes, and maybe Chump Blocks, gets an extra round, and then defeats you because maybe the combat direction shifts or something. I feel like this card is not in a good place, because first of all, it's basically for the most part a defensive card. You very rarely use these cards for aggression, at least in my experience. There is the occasional.
It's a chump blocker, nothing else.
Exactly, and the most it's very rarely it's an offensive tool because you need to deal 1 damage or whatever. But for the vast majority of games, this is a chump blocker. And I don't understand this. Why do you want to include free chump blockers in the game? There's already Barbed Mail, which is like a very, very efficient and cheap way for you to taunt, which, taunt for 0 gold, which seems great. And adding Greevil Egg, especially in draft, I've had situations, these are corner scenarios, certainly not the like your average game scenario, but I've had games where I've played the Greevil Egg and I was playing mono black or mono red or red black or whatever, and you just get the Greevil dude that generates another random Greevil for your deck from your deck. Let me see if I put it up. Yeah, Greevil Egg Tender. It says shuffle a random Greevil into your deck and then draw a Greevil from it. So you might not have any Greevils in your deck. You draw the Greevil Egg and you play it for free, and you get this guy. This guy shuffles another Greevil into your deck. I've gotten 3 blockers out of a Greevil Egg. And that's just outrageous, because the amount of stalling that you do with that is just absurd. And I don't know is it so necessary that we have this? It feels strange. And because it's a stall mechanic, it's for the most part a feels bad mechanic. It's not like, oh yeah, it's not that versatile, or for the most part, you're not like, oh yeah, I got a Greevil Egg from the shop. No, it's like, I'm losing, here's a Greevil Egg, maybe I'll get lucky. And I'm not complaining about the luck part, I'm complaining about the idea behind the card, which seems off to me.
So question. Would it stop annoying you if you could only play it if there was a hero in the lane? Is that the issue?
I think that's part of it. That would make it feel way less offensive. I think they could definitely change it and see how it feels. I have nothing against that. But I think for the most part, just playing. I mean, you got to realize you could have all your heroes dead and play this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not. I don't know, man. It's supposed to be like an item, and an item you play on a hero, and then suddenly you have items that you don't play on heroes. They got rid of consumables, by the way, so like they said that they don't want consumables in the game, etc. And then they put this in.
That is a consumable. It has the consumable items icon. It's right there.
Yeah, they said for the most part they want to get rid of consumables. They got rid of the potions. They got rid of whatever potions, which are like super iconic Dota things and whatever. That's beside the point. But then they introduced this. I feel like maybe attaching it to a hero would be good. Would be a good way of at least making it feel like way less offensive. I mean,
Greevil at least has some synergy. I can do the dirty combos like you just said, red, for example. Even if you just get one red Greevil, that's like 2 cards that you can play. You wouldn't be able to play it if you don't have heroes in the lane anyways. But still, like if you look at Reftel Mercenary Contract, it's like even worse for me. I mean, and both of them, you spend 10 gold just to get a 1-1 or a 2-1. I mean, no, people will only do that like either as despair or a cheesy tactic as in if later on I'm getting screwed in the lane, at least this is like my buyback to the lane so I don't lose the game. I'll jump black like a hero or something.
Yeah, and it's really annoying. It's when you get to the higher ranked, or when you play good opponents, it's really how to put this. This is really hard to play around. You know, like your opponent you could be trying to force your opponent to spend mana, make all the correct plays, and then you just keep thinking, oh man, is that a Greevil egg? And then often you just have no way around it. You know, and that's I think the part that raises kind of despair is like, I have to move, I have to take a move, I have to make a move, I have to make a move, I have to make a move, and then your opponent has an item in hand and it costs 10 or whatever, and you're like, well, I mean, what can I do? I can't, there's no way to play around it, there's no way to figure out how much, you know, like there's no way to differentiate between the 10 gold items because they chose to remove that, so
I mean, if you were only able to get them, if you put him in the deck, I'd be okay with it. But when you get him in the secret shop, it's like worse. It's worse than a top deck.
Yeah, that's something also I could complain about for a while is the way that the secret shop works now, because it's less intuitive than what it used to be. I feel like, because now, like, if you play a deck, you choose your own item deck, and then the percentage of secret shop items are added, and then you look at the deck list and you say, okay, this is what he has. But actually no, because if he buys a certain amount of items, more items will pop out, and then you have no idea what they are. You know, I feel like they had the list of, this is the problems we want to solve, and we're going to solve them like this. And then somewhere down the line of figuring out the new shop design, they reintroduced some old problems again, or they made new problems which are not necessarily better. These feelings are, for me, really hard to explain. I don't know exactly how to put this into expression, how to express this properly. It just feels like this card's a bit of an offender. So I think it needs some work. And maybe the idea was just that they wanted people to make Greevil decks. You know, maybe they just thought, oh, this would be cool to have if people are making a Greevil deck. And that's fine, except that's not exactly what's happening with the cards. So maybe let's reassess what we're doing here. Yeah.
Tough stuff. Okay, since we're talking about consumables, why not just talk about Golden Ticket? Because there's only 3 consumables right now, which is the Greevil Egg, Reftel Mercenary, and the Golden Ticket. We actually talked a little bit about the Golden Ticket early on. I was telling you that it kind of feels, if at first glance it looks like a buff, because it used to be more expensive to get it. and the gold generating ways are easier now compared to what it used to be.
Golden Ticket used to be 9. Was it? How much did it cost? Was it not 9 that it used to cost?
I'll have to go back to the 1.0.
Whatever, keep talking. I'll Google it up.
But still, it's easier to make 15 gold now than it was to make, for example, like
definitely
9 to 10 gold. When it used. The thing is, you were telling me, and the way the card works now is completely related to the level that your shop is right now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Because I normally don't use Golden Ticket in the deck, and I normally don't buy it when it's in the secret shop, because I'm not a fan of RNG, and I'm normally not very lucky with it. So I tend to avoid buying Golden Ticket. But a lot of people like buy it for the memes and for the fun gameplay. But you want to explain how the card now works?
Yeah, so I buy it sometimes when I'm in a bad game situation or when I think the game's like over. I buy it for fun. I've spoken to other people that used it who told me how it functions, and I've tried to use it, but I don't have a lot of experience with it. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Or the times that I've tried to break it, between commas, I didn't manage to. I was a bit unlucky. Let's put it like that. So the way that Golden Ticket works right now is you obviously have to be tier 2 to buy it because it's a tier 2 item. But it's not like the old Golden Ticket where when you use it, you'll automatically get a random item from the whole game. So the way it works right now is you'll get a random item from the secret shop from the items that are in your deck and the tier below your current shop level. So that means that if you buy a Golden Ticket at tier 2, you'll get a random secret shop item from tier 1 or tier 2. You won't be getting a Horn of the Alpha or whatever from tier 2. However, if you buy a Golden Ticket, this is what other players have told me, and I've tried to replicate, but I couldn't. If you buy a Golden Ticket and then you upgrade, you can then hit, once you unlock a higher tier, you can then hit a random secret shop item from a higher tier. Okay, so it is a card that kind of, in a way, gains value by you upgrading the shop. The problem conceptually with this card is that this is a type of card that is very mathematical, at least for the spikes or for the competitive players. This is obviously a card that is mostly made for fun, casual gameplay. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm all for that. That's great. For the more competitive players and the players that are like really focused on winning or competitive, the first thing that needs to be done to know if a card like this is good is what is the average cost of gold items in the shop, and what is the average gold cost of items.
Stop hearing you.
Estás-me a ouvir?
I think you cut off.
Hello?
I stopped listening.
Right, my internet lately has been having some hiccups. So what I was trying to say is basically that what you want to do here is look at the average gold costs of all items in the game, and then look at the distribution of items in your deck in the shop. And the way that the decks are constructed right now, and this might change in the future, but the game will add randomly 1 tier 5, 1 tier 4, and I think 2 tier 3, 3 tier 2, and 5 tier 1, something like that. So it's kind of a pyramid distribution, right? So what that means basically is, first of all, the percentage or the odds that you will get a high tier item are much lower. Even if you can construct your deck to invert that if you want to make a Golden Ticket deck, but for the most part, in general, it's going to be a pyramid distribution, so the odds that you get a lower item are much higher. And then you have to look at the cost of Golden Ticket, which is 15. So for the item to be a net positive, you have to be hitting a 20 gold item at least. Okay, at least if you hit a 15, I guess you don't lose money. So at some point, someone will do the odds on whether Golden Ticket is like a net positive card or not. My impression right now, that I'm playing mostly draft, is that this is complete garbage in draft, because it's not that common that you go above tier 3 in draft. A lot of games you don't even go above tier 2. So for a lot of the times you're going to be purchasing this as a Hail Mary move because you have no other option but to get this, because maybe it's the last round of the game. But the odds that you get a 10 gold item are quite high. So,
So it's like a save for later card, but you can still get crap.
it's basically a fun card, and if you're competitive, yeah, whatever. Maybe someone at some point will do the math, and then we'll maybe try to design a deck around it if it's really good. Maybe gold decks profit from it. I haven't sat down to do the math because the game is still in embryonary stage. It's too early to be that spiky. I don't think it's worth it. But yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about another item that ties in with that a little bit, we could talk about Midas Greaves, for example. I guess we still have a little bit of time, so we can touch on Midas. I have a lot of experience playing with Midas.
Do you know what's that black thing?
No, I have no idea. No.
Why would it have a black thing?
I've wondered the same, and I have no idea, basically. Right, so Midas, again, is a very mathematical item. It costs 10, gives you +5 income, so it needs to be on the table twice to pay for itself. And it needs to hit a third end of round on the table to be a net positive. So this is one of those items that if it needs to be on the table for 3 rounds to give you a net positive, this is an item that you really want to buy early. And for the most part, you want the game to go as long as possible because you will generate the most gold when the game goes long. Obviously, it goes without saying that you want to put this on a hero that presumably will never die or will be the hardest to kill ever, because you want it to be on the table. In my experience, that's been red heroes for the most part, like a Legion Commander holds this really well, a Beastmaster. Now he's a bit... Beastmaster was slightly nerfed, but Beastmaster was a good hero to put this on. A Bristleback.
He's still pretty beefy.
Yeah, it's still fine. I'm just throwing out examples. Anyway, I think for the most part, with the way that shop works right now and everything, I've tried a lot. I've played a lot of gold rush decks. They're possible, but I think for the most part, you want to be mid-range to late game if you're going to be playing Midas. I tried Midas a really long time because I was doing a turn 5 Mjolnir deck, and it doesn't work really well in that deck. I mean, you can quite consistently buy double Midas on round 1, and it feels great, but it would feel great anyway if you don't buy the Midas. So I ended up actually in some of my decks removing the Midases. It could be a mistake, but that's because I was trying to be very aggressive. But I think for mid-range to late game gold strategies, Midas is fine. An Ogre, for example, if you want to play Boo, is another good hero to drop a Midas on. It's very difficult to kill. But it's just a very mathematical card, and it's something that I wanted to say about some of the items we could talk about.
And it's an item that brought something new to the game.
For sure. So it's interesting in that sense. I feel like a lot of items are missing a little bit of spice, kind of. We were talking also before the show about Braces of Sacrifice as an item that is like really cool because you can do a lot of synergy with heroes and stuff.
Combo.
Yeah, with Wraith King obviously being the obvious scenario, and the rapid deployment heroes are really good with it because it has a 0 round cooldown. So I kind of feel like more items are kind of missing this little bit of extra sauce on top, where like, oh, this has a really great synergy with X. Because a lot of items...
You mean like Artificer's Mail before the nerf? Oh, the sweet combos.
Yeah, I mean, that was disgusting, yeah, but I kind of mean that. I mean, it would be cool to see like, oh, this is going to be so good on whatever. Because if you look on HookedNet, I don't know, you look on Classroom Hourglass, you look on...
Yeah, HookedNet is boring.
You look on Force Staff, you look on Demolishing Hammer. All these cards have their advantages and their good stuff, but they're just missing...
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Classroom. I mean, the Classroom Hourglass. Since they removed card draw, most of the card draw engines, this card is so trash right now. I mean, it's like... it doesn't affect only extra cards. So that means that even when there is the turn that you draw 2 cards instead of 1, you still don't give the locks.
Yeah.
So right now there's like 2 to 3 activators for this. So no one, I mean, unless there's like a wonky combo deck, no one will use this. It's like this card went from okay-ish, because the way they changed it on 2.0, it went from, I'd call it okay, to okay-ish, and now it's just unplayable.
Yeah, I mean, this before we even got to play the beta, this card looked like a counter to blue decks already, and now it's even more so. I mean, I guess it counters Lich if you really, really, really want to counter the Lich card draw somewhat. But
you're gonna play this card just because of
no,
two
I don't
to
think so.
3 card activators that are separated in colors. I mean,
Right
no one-
now,
I don't see anyone playing this right now. I mean, there's no point. There's like better HP items.
I feel like this is unplayable right now. But I don't know if they plan to introduce the card draw spells and items again or not. I don't know if that was a permanent removal for us to test the card draw, because that's the impression I got initially, was that they were doing that they were removing the card draw spells to let us play with the 1.5 card draw.
Yeah.
In the meantime, nothing's happened, so I wonder. But I mean, right now at least, I don't feel like playing much card draw is necessary. I don't know. There's routes to go, but this card right now is not great.
Yeah. It got hit pretty hard with the change.
And I guess we haven't touched on much of the 15 gold items, but I don't know. These are, well, I guess with golden ticket is a 15 gold item. What else? Warhorn feels pretty good. Claymore has, that's 20 already, but Ristal Emblem has a lot of synergies as well. Feels good.
Warhorn with the bouncing items is like so good. And draft is like godlike.
Yeah, Necronomicon is an item that I felt like is basically just playable in draft. Feels very bad in constructed, at least in my experience.
Orchid would be an item I'd like to. I mean, I've told you before that Orchid is pretty cool. I like the concept, giving silence and less 3 armor. Anything that gets less 3 armor this turn is most likely going to die or be half dead. So I can understand why it's a 3 active cooldown. But if you look at it, you're going to buy this on your either second or third turn, most likely third turn. And that will mean that you're going to activate this like 2 times during the game, 3 if you're lucky. So I feel the item has so much potential, but because of it being so strong, it's like so locked down. I mean, if it was like active 2 and give less 2, maybe it would be more usable, because the item is really good, but I normally look at it and say like, I'm not going to use this much, and it's going to end up like being played once in a draft, and then it's a +2 attack item. I can get better. So I don't know, do you want to share your opinion on it?
No, the only thing I thought is I haven't purchased this item very much because it feels a bit expensive for what it does. The -3 armor is cool. The main thing that I thought was silence could last a couple of rounds. I don't have like a great overarching idea to make this item super good. Maybe making the silence 2 rounds and keeping the cooldown at 3 would make it feel better. I think the only reason why they're making the cooldown 3 is to avoid making it like Sheepstick, where you lock some hero out of a lane, you know.
But if you did that, you'd remove Rix from being the card that gives 2 turns.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
And that would take uniqueness from the card. So
that is true. So I don't know.
But yeah, I think we tackled a big bunch of them. We can't talk about them all.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be harder next week to talk about the more expensive items, because not many people, me included, go too far in the shop. I guess if you're playing an econ deck like you did, you'll have most likely more feedback on that. The 10 and 15 ones are like the cards that everyone gets to play.
Yeah, the larger items are just more exciting just for the sheer power that they have. So it's not a hard discussion to have. I think the lower items are the ones that are more difficult to balance, specifically because they want to keep, or it seems like they want to keep the gold cost and the mana cost of everything the same. So they are refusing to use those two resources as a way to balance the items. It feels like partially. But yeah, I think this is a good summary for this week. We will urge you guys to once again go on the Discord and talk to the devs about what you think about the items, because all information is good at this point in the beta. Otherwise, if you like the show, come join our Discord, guys. We talk about Artifact there regularly and other stuff. Otherwise, yeah, drop a follow. Thanks so much for joining us and listening to us, and keep long hauling, guys. Peace.
Keep long. See you guys next week.